Let me ask you something. When it comes to your career, are you in the driver's seat or are you just along for the ride? Well, today we're grabbing the wheel. We're going to talk about how to stop just reacting to your job and start actually architecting your professional future. So let's get into it.
You remember being a kid and everyone asking you this, right? What do you want to be when you grow up? But somewhere along the line, as adults, we stop asking. Life kind of takes over, and we find ourselves reacting to whatever comes our way instead of actively building the career we want. We're going to flip that mindset today.
To get a feel for what I mean, let's meet two people with totally different approaches. So on one hand, you've got Jacine. For her, a job is, it's just a job. She clocks in, does her 40 hours, and she's out. But then there's Aisha. Aisha sees her role as a stepping stone, a chance to build skills for her bigger long-term goals. See the difference? It's all about ownership. And our goal here is to help you become an Aisha.
So, how are we going to do that? We've got 5 key areas to cover. First, we'll figure out if you're already thinking like an Aisha. Then, we'll actually build your career plan, show you how to master your one-on-ones, talk about proving your value, and finally, wrap it all up by defining your personal brand.
All right, first up, are you an Aisha? This whole thing, it really starts with the huge shift in your mindset, from thinking like an employee to thinking like the owner of your own career.
You know, we often think of career development as something that just happens to us. You know, a promotion, an annual review. But real development, that's a continuous cycle that you are in charge of. It's this constant process of learning, growing, and being the one who decides what comes next.
I absolutely love this quote because it just completely shatters an old myth. That idea of a single, straight corporate ladder, it's pretty much dead. Today's career path is way more like a climbing wall. It's dynamic, it's flexible, and there are a whole bunch of different routes to the top.
So what does that climbing wall look like in the real world? Well, sure, you can move up vertically for a promotion, but you can also move sideways, laterally, to pick up new skills in a different department. Here's the really key insight. Sometimes the smartest move is to actually step back for a bit, retrain, and find a completely new path up the wall. Every move can be strategic if you plan it.
So you get it, you're on a climbing wall. That's great. But how do you pick your next handhold? You need a map. So in this next section, that's exactly what we're going to build, your own personal career roadmap. Think of a career development plan as your personal strategy document. It's the one thing that separates a career that you actively build from one that just kind of happens to you. It lays out where you want to go and, this is the important part, the actual concrete steps you're going to take to get there. And you know what? Creating this plan is way simpler than it sounds. It really just starts with getting clear on your goals. And be specific. Where do you really want to be in the next 1 to 3 years? What skills do you need to get there? Once you have that vision, then you can build out an action plan to make it real. And that action plan? It breaks down into 3 pretty simple steps. First, list out everything that's required for your goal. The skills, the knowledge. Second, be really honest with yourself and identify the gaps. What are you missing? And third, brainstorm how you're going to fill those gaps. Maybe it's a workshop, a new project at work, or even some formal training. Okay, so you've got a plan. Now what? Well, Section 3 is all about using one of the most powerful and honestly underutilized tools you have, your one-on-one meeting with your manager. Listen, here's the secret to one-on-ones that most people miss. That meeting is for you. It's your dedicated time. So the absolute biggest mistake you can make is to just show up and wing it. If you really want to get the most out of it, you have to come prepared and you have to own the agenda.
So what should be on that agenda? Well, you can ask for some direct feedback, or maybe you've got some ideas of your own to share. But here's the real game changer. Use this time to talk about your career goals. This is your chance to turn your manager from just a boss into a real strategic partner in your growth. Which brings us perfectly to Section 4. You see, talking about your goals is crucial, but to actually earn your next move, you have to prove your value. So let's look at how you can do that systematically.
So how can you prove your value in a way that people notice? Just think about the 4 Ps. Can you impact profits, maybe by cutting costs or boosting sales? Can you improve the product or the service? Can you streamline processes to make things more efficient? Or can you develop people by mentoring your colleagues and improving the team culture?
In this quote, man, it just gets right to the heart of it. Your pay, your opportunities, they are directly tied to your contribution. The logic here is so simple. If you want to earn more, you have to be worth more to the company. Your job is to show them that you are an amazing investment.
So when it's finally time to ask for that raise, don't just ask, make a business case for it. First, prepare your evidence. Get all your achievements, all your data lined up. Second, schedule a dedicated meeting so your manager knows what's coming. And then third, present your case by showing exactly how you've delivered value across those 4 Ps we just talked about.
All right, let's move to our last section, defining your personal brand. This is the piece that really ties everything else together. It's about being intentional and consciously shaping how people see you at work.
At its core, your personal brand is just your reputation. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room. And here is the most important thing to get. Whether you're managing it or not, you already have one. And if you don't define it for yourself, believe me, other people will define it for you.
So how do you take control of your brand? It's a 4-step process. First, assess it. Ask a colleague you trust for some honest feedback. Second, define it. What do you want to be known for? Then you've got to live it in your daily interactions day in and day out. And finally, make sure your online presence tells that same consistent story.
If you only take away one single thing from our time together, please let it be this. Do not be a passenger in your own professional life. Be the architect. Be an Aisha, not a Jacine. Because ultimately, your career is a story, and it's being written every single day. The only real question is, are you the one holding the pen?